I first saw you on my evening walk with my dogs. You were such a sweet, goofy boy. You tried to follow us and play. You were so happy to make friends. This is one of those places in Greece where you feel worse for the owned dogs than for the strays. At least you had your freedom. But then there's something else about dogs that breaks my heart. It's that feeling of belonging, or the absence of it. And the strays don't feel that they belong. It's a constant rejection, despite the freedom. And then there's the hunger. I have to be honest, I avoided you for about a week. I was walking my dogs through different neighborhoods, trying not to bump into you. I was just trying to forget you, and the harder I tried, the more difficult it became. One day I saw you by the square. You looked even skinnier. You came to greet us, but you just didn't have the same excitement as you did the first time. And then you made your way back. The third time I saw you sitting on the edge of the village, alone. I thought you'd run to us again, but you didn't. You just sat there. So this time I came to you. You were so gentle, but you had a sadness in your eyes that wasn't there before, as if you'd been trying to belong for an entire week and eventually gave up. As I walked away, you stayed. And that's when I really saw you for the first time. Your loneliness. That's when I decided to take you off the streets. And for the next 36 hours, you were nowhere to be found. I thought I'd lost you. I thought I was too late. I saw you again the very last day. I had nothing to help me get you come with me, so I used my dog's leash and prayed that you'd follow. And you did. You followed us like a good boy all the way to the house without ever taking a step back. You were so trusting and so loving from the first moment. I took for granted that you'd accept whatever I did, and you took for granted that whatever this new human did to you was for your own good. You didn't make a sound that first night. You slept soundly, and in the morning you greeted me with a wagging tail. You hadn't eaten anything. Starving dogs eat when they're hungry. I know that, so seeing the bowl full of canned food next to you, I panicked. I took you out on a walk with my dogs up on the mountain. They did their thing, and you just stayed there beside me like a loyal companion who belongs with his human. A human he only met the night before. I tried canned food again after the walk, and when you ignored it again, my legs started shaking and I started mourning. Here you were, half your weight, starving and refusing to eat. That only meant that you were very sick. So I started packing our bags and ringing vets with a million things rolling around in my head about how I, 4 dogs and a lot of luggage, could fit into a tiny car about to take a long drive to the city. As I was packing and cleaning and getting ready, you just sat there on the porch, as if this was the porch you'd be sitting all your life. And you were gorgeous. Right before we left, I tried an egg, and you grabbed it from my hand and ate it. So then I cooked 2 more, and my heart was in the right place again. My dogs know when we're about to leave, so they watched me carry the bags to the car, waiting for my call. You imitated them. And then as I put them in the car, one by one, you were left alone on the empty porch, lying on the rug. If I had gone without you, you'd stay there and wait for me because this was your home already. I stayed there looking at you for a few minutes. It was as if I was looking at all the dogs whose owners left or died, and they stayed there waiting. They stayed home. Eventually, I carried you to the car with tears in my eyes, apologizing for ignoring you that first week, for being so selfish, so scared, for pretending that you were invisible like everyone else did. And as we were making our way out of that village, the tears turned into a huge smile. We stopped at a family house on the way to Athens. No one believed I had rescued you the night before. I'm not sure why people have this misconception about stray dogs, but whatever they think, it's the exact opposite, and you are living proof. I asked the girls to choose a name, and they came up with Romeo. And as I heard it, I remembered the story of that black wolf who befriended people's dogs, only to be shot by hunters who didn't know him. They saw a wolf in front of them, and their idea was to shoot him. So Romeo paid his friendliness with his life. And for a moment, my mind went to a very dark place, as I imagined how you would end up if I had left you on the streets, being so friendly. We arrived to the city late at night. I made a bed for you, you laid in it, and didn't get up until the next morning. And here we are today, a week later. Apparently, despite my fears, you are as healthy as a dog can be, and probably one of the coolest dogs I've met when it comes to vet visits, injections, and everything else involved. And apparently, you were not refusing to eat because you were dying of kidney failure, as I thought. You were just being pig-headed about food, or you had lost the will to eat and stay alive. But that's something I don't want to think about. So now I'm just watching you eat every day. And believe it or not, I never thought I'd be that happy at the sight of someone just eating. Apart from a couple of accidents, the first night you were basically house-trained, on your own. You sit for a treat, you enjoy your walks, you're totally adjusted to city life. You're sitting acting cool while I have a coffee. You're a toy hoarder and you have a retriever somewhere in you. And, you have at least one vice, although to be fair, it seems to be just playful mischief. But above all else, you have such a loyal heart, and I cannot have enough of you. For now I just sit and watch you sleep, and admire the great dog you are, and imagine the even greater dog you will become. I don't know if I showed you for the first time what it's like to be appreciated and loved, or if I just reminded you. And although you might think that I'm the best thing that has happened to you, I'm not. I'm just the first good thing, maybe. I'm gonna find you the best home ever, because that's what I do. And one day, years from now, we might meet again. And I will cry with joy, because you will be so happy that you probably won't even remember me. And as much as I love you, I'm not the one I want you to remember. We nailed it, Romeo. Hello, I am Valia. If you like the videos, please subscribe, and if you can, join me on Patreon and help create more compassionate people. Para la versión del canal en castellano, busquen el enlace abajo.